Mabuika, Mabuika. Greetings, salutations, and good night. Welcome back to another video. My name is Kevin Major. Doing it major. Now, I know I'm looking a bit rough, yeah? But let me know which one of Uno wake up and don't look rough out. You understand? Let me know which one of Uno go sleep and wake up looking like, perfection. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is, man, when you rise. Yeah. So right now we dead here, we are build a vibe, and then I'm about to go for a little run. Yeah, about to go for a little run. But before we do that, we're gonna chop it up. Astrologically speaking. No, this is a wake and bake session. I ain't even gonna hold you guys. Wake and bake session, you know what I'm saying? Really trying to get into the spirit. And we're gonna be using some smoke and some herb to invoke these spirits. So definitely a wake and bake session. All right, so what we want to talk about today? What do we want to talk about today? All right, so when I rise this grand rising, a few stuff kind of came to my mind. We're gonna be building on what we spoke about in the last video, which is the Virgo energy, right? Virgo energy, aka the pure energy, you know what I'm saying? Also, well, the last time I used the word virgin, they said that it's one of those uncomfortable words. YouTube might ray with the word virgin. But virgin, when it comes to Virgo, doesn't mean inexperience, right? Not being touched for the very first time. Not like that, man. But he just talks about purity. You understand? Going into a situation, interacting with people, going into a place without seeking anything, without wanting anything, without going in with too much preconceived notions, or going in with some sort of, you know, intention of gaining something. Virgos are quite nonchalant depending on, the situation and circumstance, because one of their goals is perfection, whether it is psychologically, whether it is spiritually, whether it is emotionally, whether it is physically. And so being rattled and ruffled and frustrated and, you know, overall emotional, right? Complexly emotional, or emotions that change rapidly. Now, don't get me wrong, Virgos ruled by Mercury, they could be here, there, and everywhere internally, but externally you would never see that though. You would never see that though. That's the thing with earth signs, is like, okay, on the inside we may not know what's happening, especially the sun signs, but on the outside they're gonna hold it down. They're gonna be looking solid as a rock. Nothing can stop me now, even when they set up roadblocks. They just can't stop me now. Yeah. So when it comes to the Virgos, on the inside, maybe, here, there, everywhere, maybe chaotic, but on the outside, they definitely appear to be holding it together. And also because they're the mutable quality, mutable earth when it comes to, you know, their ways of gaining stability and structure and organizing and having something to stand on, having a job or business, or have some money flowing in. Virgos are quite good at that, man. Are quite nifty at that. Virgos, it's a sign of harnessing energy. It's a sign of sharpening your skills, honing your talent, developing yourself to a point where you just extending yourself a little bit means the whole world to another person. For example, let's say like Beyonce, right? I think Beyonce is the most popular Virgo that we all know, right? And you go so boom. Beyonce perfect her thing. So much to the point where like, yo, if Beyonce sneeze in this direction, you understand? The whole are we happy. If Beyonce say, yo, big up Kevin Major, you understand me? Whole career take off just because, you know, she hone up she craft. She hone up she craft. And I ain't gonna lie, just that one line, we got it from not Stephen Carr. That's a different person. That's the Quit Smoking book. But from the astrology book, I think his name is Stephen Farron or whatever, man. Just that line of, you know, Virgos are looking, or their goal is, you know, to get to perfection, right? And what an audacious goal. What an audacious goal to set for yourself, but to be perfect, right? And so that's the highest pinnacle of human ambition or achievement, to be perfect in, you know, a particular realm or reality, or, you know, in a relationship or a certain aspect of your life. Like, you're just aiming for perfection. So even if that's the only thing we extrapolate from the sign of Virgo, amongst other things, but if that's the only thing we could take from the Virgo season or from the Virgo sign, something that we could practice in this Virgo season, like I was alluding to the next video, is just adapting that mindset, at least partially, because I don't want to say it's all good in its totality, you know what I'm saying? For example, somebody who could be a perfectionist, you know, could be somebody who's highly critical as well, you know, highly critical, a criticizer. And then if they do that too much, they might turn into a hater, you know, being too critical and too meticulous about, you know, certain details in our operation or relationship or whatever. And so that could, you know, play out to become negative. Too much of anything could play out as a negative. And so with the Virgos, need to be quite careful, again, running too heavy with the perfectionist energy, especially if you are flunked out and you're narcissistic as well. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you're better than everyone, or, you know, the world kind of revolves around you. However, if we are to, you know, come from a more balanced approach, I don't need to be perfect, but I need to strive for perfection. I need to try to get to that stage of, you know, perfecting a routine, perfecting a skill, a task, you know, or at least getting as close as possible as you can to perfection, or the idea of perfecting, right? And so it's not a destination, but it's the journey of being just a bit more detail oriented, just being a bit more mercurial, Mercury, Hermes, thinking, communicating, logic, using the wisdom, or using the information that you could have gotten from past experiences to apply it to the now, which is wisdom, right? So the application of knowledge is wisdom, which is Mercury in motion. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, right? So using your experiences to show you what you could do and shouldn't do in your pursuit for perfection. With this Virgo energy, for me, what I looked like this morning was, boom, woke up, rise up, had some thoughts on my mind, but at the same time, it's like, kind of went sleep late, last night, went sleep kind of late last night, you know, just, I think I was listening to some Kumina music or documentary or something about Kumina or some other spiritual video. So I kind of went sleep late. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. And the sleep hygiene kind of not the best right now. However, instead of sitting back and be like, man, I went to sleep late. Let me take a little sip of this tea. Let me try to make up the sleep, you know. Let me try to make up the rest. Let me try to get a little extra 10 minutes, extra 15 minutes under the covers, you know what I'm saying? And then the thought came to my mind, Virgo energy, perfectionist. Like, how can I perfect this morning routine? Or even get closer to, improving, being a bit more ambitious, getting better, Would it be to stay here in bed and just, kind of sulk that, oh, I didn't get the full night's rest and, oh, I went to sleep late and I feel a little groggy? Or tapping into the Virgo perfectionist energy, like, yo, I want to have a great day today. It may not be the best of the rest, but let me get up early and let me position myself to have a good day. Get up and do the whole exercising thing. I'm saying, get your, what's the word? Aerobics. I'm saying, get your aerobics, get your cardio in. So that's what we're finna do this morning. And so before we leave, again, as we are at about the third or fourth day of Virgo, yeah, mutable earth, being mutable, changeable, flexible, adaptable to the ups and downs of life. And so as we strive for perfection, let's just keep that in mind. All right, major farewell until we meet her. Great. Again.